Hello and welcome to this week's episode of BariAftercare, the podcast. And for those of you who are watching the video, you will notice I am not in my home studio. I am out of town, but I think we got some good internet and I think we're going to make this thing happen. So welcome. I'm excited to be with you. And tonight, I always say that, don't I? Tonight, because I'm always recording at night. Well, it is night, and I am going to be recording on a topic that is relevant in the BariAftercare group this month because the word of the month is efficacy. More specifically, self-efficacy. And if you're part of BariAftercare or if you've been in the bariatric community for a long time, then you know Laura Preston. So Laura came on last Monday, and she was talking about her understanding of the word efficacy. And she was using it in a medical context, like the efficacy of this medicine. And I'm like, that is so funny because I never think of the word efficacy in that capacity, but the actual term means the power to produce a desired result. So does the medication have efficacy? Does it have enough strength to knock out this virus or whatever it is? So I thought that was interesting. My use of the term efficacy, of course, is in a psychological context. And so I thought that would be a good topic. It's going to be an educational topic for a lot of you, but we're going to put it in the context of using self-efficacy, and I'll describe more about what that is, in relation to habit development. Because as a post-op patient, people have to develop these habits, right? We have to develop habits that are going to hopefully last you for the rest of your life. Because if you've ever lost and regained weight in the past, you start developing these habits early on in the process because you're eager and you're excited, but sometimes that motivation wanes, and then what started out to be habit development kind of goes to the wayside, and you're back to the old unhealthy habits. So we're going to talk about this business, this marriage between self-efficacy, and I'll describe that a little bit more here in a minute, and habit formation, and how we can use these two things together and help you attain what you set out to attain when you decided to have bariatric surgery, which is getting that weight off, living your life the healthiest you possibly can. Of course, health is, got a lot of components, just like the disease of obesity. So you might have some genetic things working against you or whatever, but we want to minimize comorbidities often associated with the disease of obesity, blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, those things. So having weight loss surgery for a lot of people is to improve their health to the degree that they can. And even more importantly, is to get out there and do the fun things you want to do, have a better quality of life. So let's start. Here's what we're going to go over. We're going to talk about exactly what self-efficacy means in the realm of creating and living that healthy lifestyle. Also, what causes low self-efficacy, and conversely, what leads to higher self-efficacy? How can you improve your self-efficacy? Then we want to talk about how are these two things related? What does self-efficacy have to do with the development and implementation of these healthy behavioral habits that we need to live that healthy lifestyle? Next, we're going to talk about things that you can do to improve your own self-efficacy, which is really important, as you'll learn. You've got to develop and continue to improve your self-efficacy to develop and maintain the habits. So it's all correlated to maintaining your healthy post-op weight loss and getting out there and living that life fully. So let's go ahead and talk about that word efficacy and self-efficacy. So as I stated at the very beginning, efficacy is the power to produce a desired result. And Laura used it in a medical terminology, but self-efficacy then is defined more like your belief, your own individual personal belief in your capacity to execute the behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. Oh, that's so clinical, right? Because that's from a clinical definition. But basically what that means is, do you believe that you have the capacity, the ability to develop these habits and to carry them out in order to meet your goals, in order to meet your specified, what have you determined you want to do, performance attainments? So do you think that you can stick to this bariatric eating lifestyle, eating every 3 to 4 hours, the protein first, limited processed foods? Do you believe you have the capacity to follow through with that? Do you believe that you have the capacity to implement exercise behaviors and maintain those so you get the desired results you're seeking? Do you believe that you have the ability to develop a support team to help you meet your goals when it comes to living your healthy lifestyle? So it's, do you believe you can? Ooh, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. Are you going to be that little engine that could? And this can be a problem when it comes to entering into the world of a post-op, because your belief in your ability to follow through long term has been damaged, right? Hit after hit after hit when you've attempted to do this before in the past, but always went back to those unhealthy behaviors that led back to regain. And of course, this isn't true for everybody, but for a lot of people who have struggled, with the roller coaster of weight loss and regain, that has been the case. So it would make sense that your belief in your capacity to follow through would be a little bit on the beat up side. So what we're going to try to do is help you develop ways to increase your self-efficacy while we work on these habits. So the belief that you have in your own abilities to get the results that you want. All right. Many, many years and many, many studies have demonstrated how critical, not just important, but critical. It's absolutely essential that we have the belief, that we absolutely believe in our capacity to follow through when it comes to achieving our goals. Now, this whole business of self-efficacy first came about by a psychologist named Albert Bandura back in the 70s. And he said that there were these 4 sources of self-efficacy, things that we can improve on. And when these 4 things come together, they're interrelated, they're intertwined, and when these 4 things can come together in good ways, it's going to increase our belief that we can. And we're going to come back to this in a little bit. But what these 4 things are is mastery. Have you accomplished this in the past? Think about your weight loss experience. Yes, you've lost weight before. So you've had some mastery. Maybe you've kept the weight off for some time. All right. The next thing is vicarious experience. You have known people who have lost weight, developed good habits, continued with the habits, and maintained a healthier weight, right? So you've seen this experience vicariously with other people. Another thing that can help is what's called social persuasion, which just means you get some affirmation, some encouragement from other people. That can help. And then it's called physiological and affective states. It's like, how do you feel about doing this? Do you get revved up, do you feel kind of defeated? So when these things come together, when you've got experience in what you've done, you've seen other people do it, you have some encouragement and support along the way, and you feel good about it. You have a good feeling about it. These things, when they interact in a positive way, really help develop significant beliefs in yourself, or they can work against you and emphasize your lack of belief in yourself. So what we want to do is we want to increase our belief in ourselves. We want to be that little engine that could, because the little engine finally says, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. If you haven't heard that story, Get on YouTube. It's probably on there somewhere. It's a children's book. And so we want to develop habits using these things, and there will be some other tips that we share, but those were his 4 big ideas. So what causes low self-efficacy and what leads to higher self-efficacy? So again, self-efficacy is your belief that you have the capability of doing this, right? So people who have a high sense of self-efficacy, and I'm sure if you look at your life, you can find areas of your life where you're like, you know what? I know I can do this. I'm darn good at my job. And when I go in there, I have every confidence that I can do this because I've done it. I have success in this area. Or, you know, not only me, but the 4 other people at my same level, I see them doing it as well. So you've got your own personal mastery, one of the things that works in your favor. You've got the vicarious mastery by other people. You guys all work as a team and encourage each other. So you've got that validation and that encouragement. And you feel good about it. You got a good vibe. You're like, yeah, we can do this. You know, you got a good trajectory going. So there are areas in your life where you have that. But for a lot of people, they say it's this one area that I just seem to struggle in. So the people who you know, or the areas in your life in which you exhibit this high self-efficacy, this belief in your own capability, they usually are very optimistic. They have optimistic thoughts. So you've heard this before in prior episodes, that our thinking plays a big part in this. You have optimistic thoughts about your ability to cope with stress. We're going to talk about this just a second. You have optimistic beliefs about your ability to resist temptation. You have optimistic thoughts about your ability to persist in the face of challenges. Okay, this can pose a problem for people in the post-op journey because prior experience is the best indicator of future experience. That can be daunting for a lot of people in the area of weight loss. Not in all of your life, but in this particular area. Because a lot of people who struggle with their self-efficacy struggle with the belief that I have the capacity to do this. Here's what the picture is like for a lot of people who've struggled with weight time and time again, all right, or for a long period of time. So if you are struggling with your belief that you can do this and maintain these healthy habits, it's because you doubt your ability to deal well with stress. Now think about this. As I've shared many times, the number one reason people say they relapse when it comes to weight regain is because life gets stressful. Sorry about that. And so they don't really believe they have the capacity to deal with stress. So their efficacy, their self-efficacy is pretty low. They're a little pessimistic in that arena. Or they don't feel so good about sticking with their goals, not giving up on them. Because even though they may have lost weight in the past, eventually they returned to their old habits and gave up on those long-term goals for a healthy lifestyle. So we've got a minus in that column. Also, people with lower self-efficacy are more likely to engage in self-fulfilling prophecies, right? Like, oh, in the back of my mind, I knew I'd never make it. Or, you know, that negative self-talk of why do I even bother? So there's some learned helplessness that they resort to, like, I can't do this. I just wish somebody else would do it for me. When the going gets tough, I quit going instead of when the going gets tough, I'm going to persist. So past experience can really beat up your self-efficacy. So during the honeymoon phase, post-operatively, when you are experiencing more success, it's important to work with a coach or a therapist or your support people to really start working on your attitude, your thoughts, your beliefs. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And every time you have success as you go through this journey, and early on in the process, you're going to be experiencing a lot more success. So really work on that. Capture how you feel when you're experiencing that success. Work on your thoughts. I'm doing this. It gives me more confidence. More confidence, more mastery increases my self-efficacy, my belief that I have the capacity to do this. So as you experience success during that honeymoon period, and while you are still so motivated to follow through with those healthy behaviors, give yourself a lot of credit, because this will work on improving your belief that you can. Because most people who are beyond 2 years out of weight loss surgery or bariatric surgery will tell you it gets tougher over time. But if you've been feeding your optimism, if you've been feeding your self-efficacy, it's going to be a lot fuller, pardon the pun, than if you've let those negative self-talk, if you've let your doubts kind of overpower your mind. It makes sense, so have compassion. It would make sense if you've come to this place of being a post-op with some insecurities, some self-doubt, some low self-efficacy in terms of being able to follow through with this, because you've struggled with it in the past. And weight loss surgery isn't automatically going to change your experience from the past or completely wipe out any doubt that's living within you. So as you have these mastery experiences, meaning you're following through, you're doing the things, you're feeling good, make note of that. And that's why I encourage people constantly, make a big deal out of every success that you have. If it's a, even if it's what you would consider to be a small non-scale victory, claim it. Claim it, play it over in your mind, build it up in your mind, because it's adding to your, I can do this. I can do this. The I can do this is really what self-efficacy means. I believe I can do this. But I believe I can do it when life is stressful. I believe I can do it when life happens. I believe that I can do it if I have a slight setback. I believe I can do it consistently and persistently. So we're going to build on that. All right. So here's some examples of how research has shown that having low self-efficacy can interfere with life. So let's say you're like, oh, I don't know, I doubt my ability to follow through with good habits or with healthy goals. What research shows is that having low self-efficacy or doubt in your ability to do things can really predict symptoms of depression in different populations who are suffering with disease. They've studied this with people who have multiple sclerosis, people who have had brain and spinal cord injuries, and the people who doubt their ability to follow through, in other words, have that low self-efficacy, they spiral in a negative way. Their depression increases, they make fewer steps toward progress. Same thing with different medical interventions. They did this big study on people who were studying or struggling with pain and pain management. And people that had low self-efficacy, those beliefs, that self-doubt absolutely interferes. So the people who showed low scores on self-efficacy had few improvements in terms of decreased pain. But the people who had high self-efficacy, I think I can do this, I'm going to persevere, I'm going to have some grit, I know I can get through this, showed significant decreases in their pain. And what the researchers believe that, at least in part, the differences between the groups had to do with their belief and their ability to carry out the behaviors involved with the intervention. So it's not just, yeah, I believe I can, and you sit back and do nothing. It's, I believe I can follow through with what I need to do, what my part is, what my contribution to my own success is. So this has been shown through lots of studies, this positive belief in yourself, this self-efficacy. Now, you and I both know that in order to lose weight and to maintain weight loss through whatever means, it requires some healthy behaviors, some healthy, what do they call it, behavior modification, changing your behaviors. In other words, developing some healthy habits. And there's a lot of information out there about habit development. Now, bear with me in this section because I'm going to talk about something that sounds kind of schoolish. It is a little schoolish, but it's called self-regulated learning. And as a post-op, you're engaged in this all the time. You just haven't heard it called that. But self-regulated learning is this cyclical process, all right? So you plan a task. I'm going to meal prep. You monitor your performance. Oh, yes, I meal prepped this week and I followed my meal plan. And then you reflect on the outcome. I am so proud of myself. I did really, really well. So meal planning can be a really great thing in terms of losing weight, maintaining weight, as can, as a post-op, eating every 3 to 4 hours or however often you are instructed to eat, and eating snacks as you are instructed, and eating protein first, right? So my plan is, behaviorally, I'm going to eat protein at every eating or snack occurrence during my day. And then when I track what I've eaten, i.e. monitoring what I'm doing, I can look back and go, oh, wow, not perfect, but I'd say 85% right on track. That is amazing good for me. And every time I do something like this, I set a goal, I check on myself, I have accountability, whether that's by myself or with a group or with a buddy, and then I can reflect on that. And if you didn't do well, it doesn't mean you're defeated. It means I'm going to persist because I believe I can do this. I really believe I have that capability. I have good self-efficacy. So I'm going to look and I'm going to say, where did I fall off the rails there? And how do I get back on immediately? So again, self-regulated learning. I set what I want to do. I monitor whether or not I'm doing that with or without help. And then I reflect on, did that work or do I need to make some tweaks along here? Do I need to make some changes? So in the development of these habits, which you've probably developed in the past, but you didn't maintain and persist because maybe you were struggling with a little of this, do I think I can? Well, we're going to work on, yes, I think I can. Yes, I think I can. Yes, I think I can. And I think I can because I demonstrated this week that I've done all these things. That's why you use the Gotta Do 'Em checklist, or that's why you use whatever tools you are using. That's why you have a support group or accountability people. And in the BariAftercare group on Facebook, we invite you every week to say, this is what I'm going to be accountable for this week. And then we encourage you to come back and say, did I follow through? So that we can assist you and say, is there any way I can help? Or way to go you. Look at you improving your self-efficacy. Whoop, it's good stuff. So we're all involved in this self-regulated learning of habit development, right? We're trying to develop these habits. As we continue to do them, not only does our self-efficacy, our belief that we can improve, but we reach our goals. We continue to lose weight, or we maintain that weight loss or within a certain window, and it's awesome. Now, here's another little educational piece that you are going to relate to. Most of you are going to relate to this. So while we're working on this habit development, and we're working on following through, creating our goals. What are my behaviors that I need to do to reach my goals? Something gets in the way. And this something has a fancy term, like they all do, right? And this fancy term happens to be motivational interference. Well, what the heck, Connie? What does motivational interference mean? When I tell you, you're going to go, oh, yeah, I have plenty of motivational interference in my life. So here we are, working on setting our goals, working on following through, working on creating these habits, working on, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And then lo and behold, something happens and all of a sudden we're in a bad mood. Maybe we didn't get enough sleep, or maybe, your mom called and was complaining, or maybe your best friend ghosted on you, or who knows, but you're kind of in a bad mood. Maybe you're distracted a little bit, thinking about what's going on, or you're thinking about, oh my gosh, I have 12 things at work to get done, and not only that, my kids all have 4 activities this week, and I have to switch from this thing to this thing to this thing, and I'm so stressed out and nowhere to go. Now, when these things happen, life happens, stress happens. These are motivational interferences. They interfere with my motivation to eat every 3 hours and eat protein first. Or they interfere with my desire to go to the gym 5 times this week, or whatever your habit development path is. Heck, if we didn't have to think about anything but developing these healthy habits, maybe it wouldn't be such a struggle. But we have this motivational interference called children, called family, called job, called spouse, called partner, called, maybe it's the weather, I don't know. But life happens. These are motivational interferences. They draw us away from the things that we're trying to accomplish. But there are some things that can help alleviate this motivational interference. And those 2 things happen to be habits and self-efficacy. Connie, you're losing me. All right, let me make this simple. All right? I want to develop the habits to lose weight and to maintain my weight loss. Yay. You know what those habits are, right? It's called the gotta do-ems. You know the things that you've got to do to lose the weight and to keep that weight off. Now, if we have habits developed, it means we don't have to think about them so much, right? They're just a part of our life. For example, you wake up in the morning, you've got your morning routine. Going to the bathroom, brushing your teeth, getting the coffee, getting dressed. You don't have to think, let me think. Now, what do I have? Where's that checklist of what I have to do in the morning? Now, maybe your kindergartner has a checklist of what to do in the morning, but at this stage of your life, you've got it down, right? You don't have to think about what to do. You get up and you do those things. You probably have a morning routine when you get to the office. Maybe you check your emails and then grab a cup of coffee, and you look for the inter-office memos, and you whatever your routine is, and you don't have to think about it, because once we've established habits don't require so much mindfulness because they're built into what we already do. Now, when we are in the process of habit formation, we got to be a little more mindful. And therefore, when life happens, there are interferences with our motivation to develop that. That's why we say that first year or so after bariatric surgery is like having a full-time job. You got to keep track of how often you're eating. You got to keep track of how much water you're intaking. You've got to make sure you don't eat before and after. You have to make sure you got the protein. It is a full-time job. These things aren't habits yet. They're not ingrained. When do I take the medicine or the vitamins, and how many do I take? This is not ingrained yet. It's not just second nature. So we got a lot going on during that first year. And when your everyday life is happening on top of that, it can make it really, really difficult to continue on. But if you keep that positive mindset and you keep the support around you and you keep the encouragement coming from people around you and you have ways to track, that's why we try to provide you with all these skills. The Gotta Do 'Em's checklist. It's not a test. It's not to see if you can do this perfectly. It's a way to keep this forefront in your mind because there's too much that you're adding to your life that's already crazy busy. And so we help you with these tools so that you can concurrently deal with life and all of its motivational interferences that distract you from what you want to be doing right now. You want to be developing these healthy lifestyle skills, these healthy lifestyle habits. But as you do this diligently and diligently and diligently, and you work with people to keep your motivation high and your spirits high and your determination high, and you say, I can do this. I believe I can do this. I believe I can do this. The going's going to get tough. But if you keep those people helping you along the way, if you're active on the BariAftercare page and your other support group pages, then you get the encouragement and some tools and some things that you need. But habits and self-efficacy can make it easier when you have all these interferences. And let's talk about how. We talked a little bit about habits and how once they get ingrained, you don't have to think about them. Then these other things don't distract you. But self-efficacy helps too. I want to step out just for a minute and do some reminders. You've probably heard this information from James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. And what I'm going to say now is really strictly from him. I'm paraphrasing. You know, he talks about how people think that, you know, people have these debates. How long does it take to build a new habit? Is it 21 days? Is it 30 days? Oh, no, it's 66 days. He says the truth is there's nothing about time passing that magically forms a habit. You know, so this business, if it takes 30 days to form a habit, is pure nonsense. There is no science to back that up. He said habits, listen up, this is important. Habits are created based on repetition and frequency. Habits are created based on repetition and frequency, not by the clock ticking. So he's like, you know, the next 30 days can pass and you can do something once or you can do it 100 times. You're more likely for a habit to form in those 30 days if you do it 100 times or 200 times than if you do it 4 or 5 times, because it's about frequency. Frequency, repetition. How often do I do this? How often do I do this? How often do I do this? That is, if there's any magic to habit formation, the magic is the doing. It's the doing. Remember the 4 ACEs I talk about? The E stands for effort. The effort to do these things is what creates the habit. So early on in your post-op process, when you're more motivated and when things, they're not easier, but it's easier in the sense that you're seeing results more immediately, right? So if you're seeing these results, it's like, yeah, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. The more often you do it, the more it becomes a habit. The more often you do it, the more easily it becomes a habit. James Clear says, asking how long it takes to build a new habit is the wrong question to ask. Because, he says, what people are really wanting to know is, how long before this is easy? How long is it before it's easy for me to meal prep? How long is it before it's easy for me to get myself engaged in whatever exercise I'm doing? How long is it before it's easy for me to remember to eat every 4 hours? How long is it before it's easy for me to remember to eat protein? How long is it before I remember what time to take these vitamins? How long is it until it's easy? How long until I don't have to put so much effort into this? How long until I don't have to think about it? So here's what he says. The truth is, the honest answer to how long does it take to build a habit is brace yourself, forever. Forever. It takes forever to build a habit. Why, he says? Because once you've stopped doing it, it's no longer a habit. So think back to prior weight loss attempts and successes, and as long as you did the things you were doing that led to the weight loss and the weight maintenance, you were engaging in a healthy habit. But when you stopped going to the gym, when you stopped taking the Pilates class, when you stopped your martial arts, when you stopped going to the pool, when you stopped preparing real food, when you stopped buying, when you stopped keeping your pantry full of clean foods, then you no longer had that habit. So it doesn't mean that once a habit, always a habit. It means as long as you're doing the behavior, you're engaging in the habit. I know it's not the answer you wanted, but guess what? When you develop good self-efficacy at work, you believe you can, you have the capacity to do it, it's because you keep doing what you're doing to get the positive results. You don't learn your job and get really good at it and then quit doing it. You have to keep doing it, right? So it's the same thing with this. It's never gonna be something you don't have to do or think about to some degree. But if you go to your exercise every day after work on your way home, as long as you do that, you're engaging in a healthy habit. But the minute you stop, you no longer have that habit. Habits are a lot easier to stop than they are to start. But as long as you continue to put forth the effort, you're still engaging in the habit. And the more often you do it, the more frequently, the less you have to have the debate. Oh, should I go to my exercise class on the way home today? I don't really feel like it. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. It's kind of like getting up and brushing your teeth in the morning. Do you have to get up and go, do I brush my teeth today or not? You've done it for however many years you are alive, I hope. And so you just get up and do it. Do I have to go out and turn the coffee pot on? You don't really think about that. You go do it. So hopefully the same is true with your time to do your exercise, or your time to meal prep, or your time to meditate, or your time, whatever it is that you're trying to do. So here's what James Clear continues to say. The more often a habit is repeated, the more the behavioral sequence is automated, right? And that's what we're looking for, the automatic behavior, the automatic behavior, the automatic behavior. And when we do it, every time we go to the exercise class, or every time we brush our teeth, or every time we meal prep, or every time we put protein in our mouth first, then it just becomes automated. Oh, wait, I don't eat my fruit until I've eaten my protein. Oh, wait, I don't go home until I've done my walk. Oh, wait, it just becomes automatic, and it becomes part of what you do. But you have to do it and do it and do it. So the more the behavioral sequence is repeated, the more it becomes a habit. We don't have to spend so much time thinking about it. Therefore, all those motivational interferences aren't as pesky because we don't think about, when am I going to do this exercise? We just do it. It's just part of our life. So we have to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it and repeat it until it becomes automatic. That's when we have a really healthy habit. And when we do these things, we're also increasing our belief that we can, because we are. So, how self-efficacy is important in developing these habits or these behavior patterns that you intend to repeat regularly so that you can achieve your goals. That's what self-efficacy is, right? Having self-efficacy is a real strong predictor of success. Self-efficacy is part mindset, I believe I can, and part engagement in developing these habits. So if we have positive self-efficacy and we're putting effort into developing these habits so they're automatic, we are much more likely to get that weight off and to keep that weight off. So how can you increase your self-efficacy if you're struggling with that? How can you increase your self-efficacy while you're developing these healthy habits? These things, we want these things to go together, because your goals are to be your healthiest self and live your happiest life. So remember what Albert Bandura, the psychologist who came up with this whole self-efficacy thing, said. So if you want to increase your self-efficacy, you need to have some mastery. So think about this. Most people who have weight loss surgery have lost weight in the past. So you have experienced that success. You've had a taste of this. You know you can do it. So call on that when you're struggling, like, oh, this is getting, I'm just tired. It's hard. It's whatever. Go, wait a minute. I have done this before, which means I know I can do it again. I know I can do it again. Keeping that mindset of, I've done this. I know what it feels like. I'm going to keep doing these things because I know if I keep doing these things, A, they're going to become automatic, and B, they get me what I want. So you have had mastery. Now, if you're just getting back into developing these behavior habit patterns, then every day, and this is why I say every single day, take note of, and if you want, it would be a good idea to write these things down. What I did well today, so that when you feel discouraged and whatever, you can look back and you go, you know what? I did my meal planning. I ate my protein first. I drank all my water. Look at your gotta do 'em sheets and go, wow, not perfect, but wow, I'm impressed. I am really doing a good job. Or just look at your notes on your journal from every day. What did I do well? What did I do well? What did I do well? Because that reinforces, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, because I'm mastering this to some degree. So this is the most powerful driver of self-efficacy, according to this psychologist, Alfred Bandura. And when you succeed when taking on a new challenge, that's where you experience mastery. But absolutely keep track of what you've done well, because it's easy for us to forget. Okay, now there's some other research who say there's 2 reasons why mastery has the greatest benefits for self-efficacy. Remember, these 2 things are correlated. So mastery experiences are based on direct personal experience. It's not secondhand. It's not somebody says, my great aunt Susie's next door neighbor's cousin did this and she did really good. No, this is, I did this all of last week and I did really well. So drawing on your own direct evidence, it's like, I know I can, right? And then the other thing, that mastering something or doing something and having some success, it allows us to observe the direct link, listen up, between your investment of effort and the positive outcome. Well, hello, I did this and I got that. I followed my meal plan. I felt good and healthy and lost a pound. I followed my exercise plan and I felt even better, and that helped me follow my meal plan, and it's a positive upward spiral, right? So every time you do something well, it tells you that you can. All right, the second form of things that help, not as powerful as your own mastery experiences, are vicarious experiences. So that's like, you know what? My spouse had this surgery and they're doing all these things, and look at the outcome. Or the person at work. So you're seeing it, you're seeing the effort that they put in, and you're seeing that along with that effort is this outcome. So it's like, well, I guess there's some validity to the effort and the outcome. Maybe I'll give it a try myself, and then you have your own mastery. And then we have to have that verbal or social persuasion. If we receive realistic encouragement, like, you know what, I can see you're struggling, but by golly, I see you following through and I'm so impressed. Not like, hey, you got this. You can go win the Olympics tomorrow. That's not realistic, right? But if you get realistic encouragement, man, I am so impressed by the effort I see you putting into your exercise or your meal planning or, your protein first. That is so impressive. That helps, right? Because it reminds us, I am doing that. Somebody's noticing. Somebody's encouraging me. And the last thing, according to Albert Bandura, to increase our self-efficacy is this emotional or how you feel arousal. He says it's like, when you're feeling energized. As you lose weight, you feel more energy. As you get encouragement from other people, you feel more energy. And so that encourages us to continue on with the effort. And again, we have that positive upward spiral. But if we don't get enough sleep, if people are criticizing us, it has, the opposite effect. If we're feeling judged, our self-efficacy kind of tanks. So we want to surround ourselves with people who are encouraging and supporting us. All right. So there are some other ways to increase your self-efficacy, and one of those is to get out of your comfort zone. One of my favorite slides that I do in my Gain While You Lose class is this picture, and it's outside the comfort zone is where the magic happens. If we do what we do all the time, we're not stretching ourselves or questioning, can I do this? But if we step outside that comfort zone just a little bit and go, you know what? I walked for 10 minutes yesterday. I wonder if I can go 12. I've never done 12. Or, whatever it happens to be. And then you do it, you're like, I pushed myself and I did it. I went outside my comfort zone. Or maybe it's a bigger deal, like you have a little bit of social anxiety or whatever it is, then you say, you know what, today I'm going to go up and I'm going to just greet a perfect stranger. And the greeting could be as simple as good morning or have a good day. It doesn't have to be anything extreme, but you're pushing yourself just a little bit and you have to put a little bit more effort. But when we get out of our comfort zone and then we have that mastery experience, like I did it, oh my gosh, I did it, it increases our self-efficacy. So we're doing all these things to make ourselves feel better. Set some goals, but make them small. Have the support people or your accountability people in on it. So you can say, okay, so instead of my workout twice this week, I'm going to do it 3 times. All right? It's not like I'm going to exercise 7 days a week. I'm going to increase it by 10 minutes. Or, this week I started with protein 4 of the 6 times that I ate. I'm gonna go for 5 today. All right, and then look at the bigger picture. One of the most significant qualities of people with high self-efficacy is the power to look beyond the short-term losses, not let them break your self-trust. So do the things today, but also look at where you want to be. And if I do what I'm supposed to do today, I'm going to get there in the future. And the last thing is reframe obstacles. When you don't have a good day with your behaviors, don't throw in the towel. Just go, you know what? Tomorrow's a new day, and I'm gonna jump back on that horse. There were a lot of motivational interferences today. Tomorrow, I'm going to use that checklist. I'm going to write down my goals, and I'm going to experience some, what did I call that stuff? I'm going to have a mastery experience. I'm going to have some mastery because I'm going to put a little more effort into it, and I'm going to give myself credit. So here we go. Summary. Self-efficacy is believing you have the capacity to follow through with what you set your mind on to get your goals. We can increase our belief in ourselves. Go read the book, The Little Engine That Could. It's a good reminder. I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. I knew I could, I knew I could. My computer's about to die and I don't have my plug, so I'm going to hurry up here. So go read that. Use that daily form. I'm going to put a link to it in the BariAftercare room, or you can get it off of my website page. It's a daily form. Write down what you did well. There's a space for you to do that. Look at your effort and give yourself credit for it. Work on repetition so you develop these habits so it's just second nature to you, these healthy behavior habits. So please encourage other people to listen to the podcast. Sign up for the complete BariAftercare program where we can help you remain accountable. And remember, this is your life. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening to other things and reading other things that help you work towards your goals and learn new things. I love doing this podcast. It helps me with my own self-efficacy and my own self-mastery. So use this as a vicarious mastery. And let's all work together to continue to follow through on making these behavioral gotta do them habits so we don't have to think about them so much. Give ourselves credit for what we did do and get the support that you need to help you move forward. All right, my friends, thank you for joining me, and we'll meet again for the next episode of BariAftercare, the podcast. Please give me your feedback. Let me know if there's any topics you'd like me to talk about and what you thought about today's. I appreciate it. Take care. See you next time.